The Miami Hurricanes stay hot. Isaac Chukwurah commits to the U. Defensive tackle out of Bear, Delaware. Penn State decommit. Super talented, highly productive player. Fired up about the commit. We'll be talking about his game, watching some highlights. Peter Reed is going to join us in a second. But a big, big flip for the Miami Hurricanes, a player that they really, really prioritized, that they wanted to land. This was not like, hey, if this guy doesn't come or if this guy comes. This was, hey, once they saw that he decommitted from Penn State, we go, man, who's Miami going to target? We know Penn State is a team that produces stud defensive players all over the place, great evaluation. So he said, hey, got to get somebody from here. And turned out Isaac Chukwurah, as we get joined by Peter Ariz, who's going to help me with this terrible pronunciation that I just gave.
I was going to say, D, there's a significance to the jersey I'm wearing right here. Victor Boniface, Nigerian Super Eagles striker. Isaac Chukwurah told me he is Nigerian as well. So Miami has had some success there. David Njoku, obviously. Isaac Chukwurah, this is a big pickup, a guy Miami has really targeted here, D, for about a month. And like I reported the other day, Miami was the first school to reach out to him when James Franklin was fired. And I think that went a long way in his recruitment. Very interesting here. Straight flip. We don't get these very much. This is a kid who was still committed to Penn State before he flipped. So that's a little bit of an old school one. You don't get that very much. They usually decommit and then they kind of build the suspense back up, but we got a straight flip here.
Yeah, and a 6:15 bad signal. I wonder if there's more coming. I don't know. Usually you get these at 7, but we know there probably is going to be more coming. We anticipated on this show it would be a busy week for the bad signal. You saw J.J. Dunnigan commit. We did a video for that. DeAnthony Lafayette last night did a video for that. And now with Isaac Chukwurah. I love this comment here from 220. And I know what he's talking about. He's saying beast, VT-style DT who plays low to the ground with long arms. Virginia Tech's fallen some tough times, but they made a living with guys like this. You think about Tim Settle. You think about recently, who's the kid they had that was a Duke transfer that killed us last year. Shoot, it'll come to me, but he was drafted in last year's draft.
Settle's the perfect example of that one recently, though.
Oh yeah, but then even last year, I think Peebles. They have a guy named Peebles, Aeneas Peebles. I think I'm saying that right from Virginia Tech. So yeah, guys like they made a living with guys like
he's
that.
With the Ravens now. So
there you go. Shout out to
6th round pick for the Ravens as a 6 foot 289 pound defensive lineman.
Right. So that's what we're talking about here. But he's bigger, right? This guy's 6'2", 265, long arms. I was told that the frame looked good on the visit, which to me, watching this film, my only concern is going to be the frame because I don't know. I've not seen him. So to see the film, you don't know how big he is, but the production's outstanding. And the fact that they like what they saw size-wise in the Penn State, which, James Franklin doesn't recruit guys to be overachievers. I mean, he recruits guys that obviously have that great work ethic, but that are also highly physically gifted, which is why you see the combine littered every single year with Penn State prospects. So as we jump into the film here, Pete, I think when you just tear the layers back of who's recruiting this guy, who prioritized this guy, and the looks that we had on him before we pursued him hard, I think that's a very, very good sign.
Yeah, and you mentioned the arm length, 35 35-inch arms. I mean, longest in the class. From what I understand on the defensive line. Hassan, I got to say, D pronounced it well, Isaac Chukwurah. So I can't get on him. Trust me, any opportunity I get on a D money pronunciation, I will. But he's been pretty on point lately. I can't lie.
I'm working on it, man. As we see here, this is his updated senior highlights as of yesterday. And when you see 9-minute highlights for a defensive lineman, usually these are the shortest ones, these defensive tackles, because really this is such a rare position. There's so few guys that can do the job physically that they don't need a lot of clips in their highlights, man. You'll see a big guy make a couple explosive plays in the backfield, and that'll be a wrap. It'll be a 2-minute highlight. This is a 9-minute highlight, 6 minutes tearing people up as a defensive lineman, then 3 minutes as an offensive lineman. Quite frankly, I think this guy could easily be an offensive lineman for a center guard, just with how quickly he moves and how great he does it. But man, he is absolutely living in the backfield. Things that jump out, just the different ways you see here: standing up, You see him in the 3-point stance, see him doing all kinds of stuff. You see him outside, you see him inside, you see him finishing. That's the long arms, right? The ability to finish consistently when he gets to the quarterback. And then the knockback power, nice quickness too, man. Look at this guy get after it. This is 9 minutes.
A lot of similarities to Frederick Saintis. I think Saintis is bigger at this point, D, but I think you got some similarities there with the inside-outside versatility, and I think just continuing to stack. You D-line is a position that you need blue chippers, right? And they've done that the first couple years here. The first few years here, they've stacked them. You need to now hopefully land one of these other guys that we've been talking about as well. But the body types that they're stacking there, that 2 years down the line, we're excited about a Dante Simpson this year, but what's he going to look like two years from now? What's he going to look like with a full off season now? And I think these guys are in the similar light as him.
100%. And one thing that Philly Kane says here, which is I totally agree. Keep stacking defensive line prospects. They are expensive in the portal. Future looking bright with all the commits. Now you need to get highly rated players at this position, right? There's no substitute for landing. You saw Justice Scott, what he did last game. Guys like that, David Stone, you just got to get them. That's the period, point blank. There's no substitute for that. On top of that, you just need high school guys to perform for you, because if you have to make your living in the portal for defensive linemen, you're going to overpay for medium talent. So if you are saying, okay, we know where they're going after the top defensive lineman, that's not going to change. They're going to go after every, Bryce Perry, right, Anthony Tank Jones. That's all going to be, guys they look after. So, and continue to pursue. Keyshawn Stansel, big time prospect ready in the boat. But then you say, all right, well, we want to target guys who maybe are not those 5 stars only, because you're not going to get all of those guys. Those are knockout, drag out battles. But we're going to identify guys that are having incredible senior years, that have physical athletic traits that we like, that fit our system. Maybe you're looking at places that traditionally produce defensive linemen. Clemson with Keyshawn Stansel. He's a 4-star player, but Clemson certainly got a track record with NFL defensive linemen. Pittsburgh, we know what kind of defensive lineman they've been producing. You're going after Logan Nagel, a commit to there with inside-outside versatility. And then here with Penn State and Chukwurah, as you just look, I mean, this is senior highlights only, and you just play after play, similar to DeAnthony Lafayette at the end, where it's just the productivity is crazy. Look at that way this guy uses his hands. I love how he finishes, man. Once he gets to the quarterback, it's a wrap. But you cannot get these guys in the portal if they turn out to be good players. So, yes, aggressively pursue 5-star players. You got to get as many of those as you can at this position. But then also in that 4 high 3-star range, find guys that are emerging as seniors and have traits and have a profile that has had success. I think this guy's one of those classic Penn State, like Zane Durant, another one of these guys, these Penn State defensive linemen that overperformed. This guy was next in line. Bring him down to Miami.
Yep, very excited about this one. And again, I give Miami's defensive line staff credit, and this is where the recruiting analysts and people like that come into play, D, because they have to scour. And we've been talking about for months that Miami would, on the defensive line, continue. There would be new names that popped up, and this is one that it's a recent name, but there was no relationship there until recently. So this is one that they literally just pounced on a situation in terms of Penn State. Really good. And I think you see a lot of this in the NIL era. Keyshawn Stansel, I would kind of throw in the same boat, where you kind of pounce on a situation and you say, all right, well, it's not the old days where you still have to grind out a lot of these relationships. Jackson Cantwell was not going to get one. That recruitment was not going to get one without multi-year recruitment getting him here, 2 years prior to his signing day for games, all that. But there's other situations where you just stay around and you don't end things in a bad light. And that was a Stansel sort of situation. This was another one where they say, hey, there's a coaching change. Historically, they do well there. Let's see what they got in the class. And I give the recruiting department a lot of credit for that.
100%. Nicholas Watson saying, do you still see them taking the kid from Naples with the latest commits, Frederick Saintius? I've heard nothing, but they're super excited about that one as we see Chukwurah here on offense. I got to tell you, This guy can play.
The one that'll be interested in seeing is Nagel, D, because I like Nagel a lot. But you have a lot of numbers now, and they also want Dre Quinn as well. I hope he's a part of the class. But you got a lot of numbers now.
You do, but I think their calculations, what you said, with what they said in the chat, which is, look, let's say Nagel develops as a lot of people expect, and he gets bigger, stronger, and you're talking about a 6'5", 290-pound defensive end or defensive tackle that's at Pittsburgh, getting 10 tackles for loss in a year, and then Arduzzi's system. And he says, all right, I'm tired of Pitt. I'm gonna jump in the portal. What does that cost? You know what I mean? So I think that thought process is, if you're going to throw numbers at a position, this is the one to do it, just because the price of a mid receiver in the portal is low. Price of a good receiver is high. Price of a mid receiver is low. Price of a mid defensive tackle, high. So maybe just get these guys, develop them, throw numbers. These are emerging guys. Saintius, great senior year, Haitian immigrant, somebody who's newer to the game, really coming on strong. Logan Nagel, defensive end, defensive tackle, playing high level of football. We watched his senior clips the other day.
I love that change of direction there in the open field.
Yeah, this guy's an athlete, man. I watched his basketball stuff in a second. Chukwurah would have been at Penn State if not for this coaching change. So somebody who was identified by a great talent evaluation system, and as you see, these are senior highlights to see how long they are. Tyson Bacon, who I'm told is potentially visiting this weekend. I know he's a guy that your sources and my sources love his ability as that inside-outside guy. I think you're seeing just...
I think he'll be a 3. I think D, he'll settle in as a 3 tech here. From what
I'm hearing. A lot of these guys are the same size. If you really look at it, it's like you're looking at defensive tackles that are tall and long. They're not short. They're long, but they're lean. Long and lean and quick and athletic defensive tackles. It seems to be what Heatherman wants. And we talked about it. You said it. You're like, you talked to somebody, and I heard the same exact thing from somebody who saw Heatherman at one of these coaching
Because
conferences.
Remember, I was the one saying that I didn't think we had enough size. I've been saying the sheer size on this D line. I didn't know that there was enough depth there, as we can all nitpick. But like, the more I kept talking to people, it's like, well, it's not even. There's no point for me asking for it, because they're just not going to recruit that D.
Yeah, they want lean guys that can get after it. Oh, I just got a text. Yes, we will take Saintius. Never have enough big bodies. I never doubted it. I think Saintius is kicking butt.
Oh, no, Saintius for sure.
Yeah. So, by the way, some specs on Chukwurah. 6'2", 254. He'll get up to that 290 range or 285 range, hopefully pretty soon. You can tell he's got room to grow. 82.5-inch wingspan. So talking about defensive tackles, they want guys that can rush the passer. That is the model of what they're looking for in this system. And quite frankly, it's what the NFL is looking for too, right? Kalijah Cansey getting drafted first round. I never would have thought we'd see that day. And this guy's bigger than Kalijah Cansey. But point is, a lot of teams in this system, in particular with Heatherman, they want guys that can rush the passer, that can get upfield. And they want to get a fleet of defensive linemen. They're going to go toe-to-toe with their offensive line class, Jackson Cantwell, Joel Irvin, all those dudes, and really battle and have a dominant line of scrimmage team like you've seen at times this year, right? Notre Dame, Florida. Character also is a big deal. I mean, everything you hear about this guy: leader, discipline, coachability, high motor, which, again, you're looking for a theme. Saintius, high motor guy, known as a great character guy. Heavy hands. All these guys have very heavy hands. The length, arm length, and that just overall length is there. The junior to senior production, you are seeing consistent trends with all these guys, whether it's Stansel. Tyson Bacon is dealing with an injury, but his first few games, Pete, you talked about it on the work and you talked about it on the show. His first
very
few games,
disruptive, very
incredible.
Disruptive.
He's come back from an injury, which happens. I mean, he'll heal up. And Frederick Saintius, another senior who's really, really stepped up.
Love Saintius, man. Love Saintius.
Yeah. So, very, very, very talented guy. Also, Pete, you know what we always do on the show, on every show that we do, because this is our thing, is you want basketball players, right? Basketball players tend to, as long as they're physical, violent football players, that tends to be a good thing. And you see him here, man. He's kind of stacking his double-double by getting his own miss a few times. But He's got a nice touch, man.
That's that Angel Reese right there.
Yeah, man. And look, evaluation is going to be big. I think there's been more of an emphasis to me. You're still you're going after the top players in the country. Look at some of the guys that have visited this school. I mean, you're talking about 5-star elite players that are visiting, but those 5-star elite players were vetted as legit 5 stars that are worth the money. There's a heavy emphasis on evaluation, heavy emphasis on senior film, which when you go back and
good seal.
Yeah, he's a real basketball player. Look at that, 19, 11, 2-1. So the guy can play ball, plays both sides of the ball. Two things that when you go back and look, and Pete, we do this all the time. Every May or whenever the draft ends, we look at the first rounders, the second rounders, the guys that maybe were not the highest rated obvious guys. Like, Jeffrey Simmons, anyone could have scouted that one. But then you look at some of the guys that were not that obvious. And you go back and look and you see, first of all, they're playing multiple spots.
They're playing offense. Here in a second,
yeah. I think got dinner. He's still coming up. They play offense. They play defense. They play basketball. They track like the Anthony Lafayette, who plays running back. He's out there throwing the discus. He's throwing the shot put. He's running the sprints. These guys all have those multi-sport, multi-position, and then highly productive film as seniors. These are just trends that you see with these first round, second round defensive linemen and just defensive players overall. And I don't think it's a coincidence that the school that was after him the hardest was Penn State, which makes a living with these kind of evaluations and turning those guys. Because a lot of those, you look at Abdul Carter, some of these guys, they were 4 stars, maybe low 4 stars, high 3 stars, but they were not no doubters. They were identified, developed, and put into what they became. So I like this one. I like this one. I like the direction. Forget the mid-portal guys at defensive tackles. Too expensive for average production. If I'm spending top dollar, I want top dollar for a great player, not for a guy that's playing a rare position or a scarce position.
All right, D, I got to hop off here. I don't know if you're going to continue. But
yeah, I'll keep it rolling. Enjoy dinner. I'll be out in a second. But again, yeah, enjoy dinner. We're going to keep talking a little bit here. First, want to talk about some folks that they were evaluated out of high school and out of college, and they went to some of the top medical schools in America, and that is UHealth Sports Medicine Institute and their team of experts. If you consider yourself an athlete or just an active guy like myself, you know how hard it is to sit on the injured list with pain or injury. Maybe you even try to hack your own rehab. But if compromising your movement or performance is not an option, call the experts at the University of Miami Sports Medicine Institute. Whether it's elite competition with Miami Hurricanes athletics or everyday movement, the University of Miami Sports Medicine Institute is the trusted choice for those who demand excellence. Set an appointment today at uhealthsports.com. D-Train says Pete had to change out of his 2012 swag. Kyle said last defensive tackle from Delaware turned out okay. That's 4th round pick, the Pittsburgh Steelers, Orion Harris. Kind of a similar size there as well. This is a win-win, though, for the Canes. Win-win for everybody. Win for Isaac Chukura to attend a great university like Miami. Win for the staff. It will add a player who can be developed into something really, really impactful, fits our culture, fits the way we like to play, the way we're trying to build this front. It's a win-win. You want that win-win-win. The Play It Forward campaign, KashKick, KashKick in the App Store. Just go to the App Store, KashKick, one of the most popular apps on the planet. 4.5 plus average rating, 1.5 million plus downloads. And here's how it works. Download KashKick app. You get all these games consolidated on your phone. So whatever kind of game you're into when you're just sitting at the doctor's office waiting to pick up your kids, or your kids want to play with your phone, whatever it is, they got puzzles, they got RPGs, they got action games, you name it, they got it on KashKick. So you play the games. While you're playing the games, you make money on the side. Advertisers pay you money, go straight into your PayPal. Totally legit, one of the biggest apps on the planet. Then the money you make, which goes to you, is matched by an equivalent donation to the American Cancer Society from the advertisers. Of course, that's a disease that's affected all of us. So you get a play fun games, which you probably do anyways on your phone, make money on the side, and you get a donation based from your hard work of playing video games to the American Cancer Society. So the rare triple win, play it forward with the KashKick, KashKick app. Let's see here. Miami Dan says, hit us with some recruiting lies that we can tell. Is he the next Jason Taylor or Warren Sapp or what? Hey, he'll be coached by Jason Taylor and Damian Lewis and some really great coaches. I don't know what he's going to be. I just know that these types of players, I think of Zane Durant at Penn State. I'm not saying it's a comp. I'm just saying similar size, maybe coming out. And you saw Zane Durant turned into a Penn State, one of the best defenders in the country. So, by the way, I want to emphasize this because this needs to be said, because that was always the follow-up question. I want to say Miami is focused on senior evaluations. When Miami is trying to land big-time players that are having success as seniors and then maybe not the 5 stars. That doesn't mean they're not still going after those 5 stars. They're still going after Tank Jones, still going after Nolan Wilson, still going after Bryce Perrier-Wright. You need numbers at this position. You need bodies at this position, real bodies, athletic, heavy-handed, long bodies that play with high motors and fit your room and don't drag your room down with bad energy. So that is really what this is about. And that's why you're seeing so many names come up the board with an arrow pointing up. But it's not, hey, we missed out on Nolan Wilson or Bryce Perrier-Wright, throwing the towel there. We're working on this. Trust me, they're hitting all these spots. And you see 5-star defensive linemen on our defensive line. You also see an Ahmad Moten. You see a Dante Simpson. You see a mix, Herbert Scroggins, right? So it's a mix. What you don't want is to fill huge gaps with very expensive, mediocre players in the portal, which look at Texas, man. You want to see a bad situation? Look at Texas. Look at how many defensive tackles they brought in the portal and how much they spent on defensive tackles. And none of those guys are great shakes. And they did that because they had to, because they didn't recruit enough guys who could be developed and play at the level that they needed at Texas. So hold on one second. Let's see what's here in the chat. Johnny Lagoon, the new father. Yep, he says, look at Dante Simpson and Ahmad Moten, bring him in and have Lewis coach him up. Yeah, you need all these guys. You need rotation. I won't say you need bodies, because body implies they're just guys. You need players that can get off the ball, that can use their hands, that can knock people back, that can finish when they get to the quarterback, that can put pressure on the quarterback. So you need players is what you need on top of bodies. Let's see here. What else we got? Martin and Yucatan says, I drank so much BUZZN, I had to go to UHL Sports and stop by Islas Canarias going home. That's the spirit. Shout them all out, man. What else we got? Let's see. Tyler Tarantino, why do we only have 1 5-star in year 4? Not enough. They're hard to get. You got to keep chipping away. Miami's still recruiting a lot of 5 stars. I should note that 1 5-star happens to be the number 1 player in the country. So that is a pretty good one, but I agree. I mean, look, you don't want to make a living getting only 1 5-star type player. You got to keep on chopping wood. And I think that's what the staff is doing. So they're continuing to work with some of these guys. Dominic Martucci, freshman class is refreshing this year. I agree. It's a good group. All right, fellas. Thank you for joining us. Congrats to Isaac Chukwurah joining the Miami Hurricanes. Excited to see what he does at the U. And I'm fired up, man. So like and subscribe to the show. Go Canes.